Howdy, Bart here, and welcome. Alright, so this is a by request video, and everything will click along here. Alright, what I've done is just created a base project, and right now there's really nothing in it. But what I'm going to do is just create something just to be this is our broken project we're used as an example. I'm going to go ahead and add new features, and we're going to make this a third person. I'm going to add a project, lovely, close, and I'm going to create a custom folder just so we have some new content. So doesn't really matter what I'm going to call these are just for examples. Essentially what we're going to do is blueprints, okay? And just so we have a blueprint that's in here, I'm going to take a third person blueprint and actually let's go ahead and create some subfolders and stuff like that. We'll say character, and it doesn't really matter. This will work for pretty much anything. We're going to copy it here. We're going to call this our cool underscore guy. Now, here's a tip that you should always be doing. Okay, this is just our cool guy, but what is it? We need to give it a something on here. So we need to BP underscore. It's a blueprint for the cool guy. We know that that's our primary cool guy blueprint. You're going to need to get in the habit of making sure that you have a naming convention for all your stuff so you know what you're looking at in case something like this does happen where this project gets broken and you can't retrieve all your files in here and you can't get it back into your project again. So we're going to assume that, you know, we really want this cool guy here, and just for giggles I'm actually going to go in here and create one more, have a new folder. We're going to call assets, and new folder, images, alright, so make sure the stream is going live here. One second, y'all. I have been going back and forth between onto YouTube, and that's the key. So give me one second to make sure that the stream is live. And my channel, guess I've been doing a lot of research on there. Yep, it says it right there, live now. And my channel, guess I've been doing a lot of research on there. Yep, it says it right there, live now. Alright, let me close this so we're not feeding back through. Alright, so we know it's live, it's working. Alright, so again, we have the assets folder, images, and all I'm going to do is just want to grab an image here, and I'm just going to throw it in there. Does not matter what it be. This is lovely, this will work. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save all, save selected. We now know that we have at least a really cool, awesome image, and we have a character, and it's awesome. You know, there we go. There's our character. So this is going to be our example for our bad project. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. Bang. Okay. I am at my desktop. I have saved everything, and I am going to just going to go and close that down. So I'm on Windows 7. It's very similar if you're on Windows 8 or 10. I'm not going to change to Windows 10 until I absolutely have to. But you've got your icon down here for your File Explorer. For me, it shows up on a different monitor because I have 3 monitors. So you go into it. If you're looking for your default Unreal Engine 4 projects, the default location is going to be in Documents, under Libraries, Documents, my documents. Now I've got all mine on a different hard drive, but this is the default location. So you see I've got it saved in the default location. So first off, you see that you got your broken project and you've got an icon here that is for your project file. If you can't double click on that and open your file, then it's definitely broken. Even with Unreal Engine 4 not on and the engine not on, you can double click on that and it will come back up. But we're going to assume that this is actually broken, but we need to know this location where libraries, documents, my documents, Unreal projects, and then inside there is our actual project. So what I'm going to do is, that is Steam, that is not Unreal Engine 4. If you cannot get into it, and this is on 4.19, after today we'll be switching over to 4.20. You can see I've already got it ready to install. So what you can do here is click on Launch Engine, and if you cannot get into your broken project, this is how we're going to go about rectifying that situation in one of many different ways. So now when this screen comes up, we're going to go to New Project, and since we know our other project was a third person, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and actually let's leave it blank. Let's create our project, and I'm just letting it be called My Project because I'm going to delete these two after I get done with this video, so it doesn't really matter for me. So this is our sample, our test project. This will give you a chance to try to rename your old project if you want to change the name for it. You can see we have nothing in it. There's nothing here at all. So inside the content folder, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and you can do it from here. Add new folder, junk, and we see we have that. So I'm going to go ahead, and there's nothing really to save, but it's already there. Everything is already saved into this project. Now if I want to get my other files into this project, a lot of people will say, well, you just got to hit that import button. No, stay the hell away from that import button. Well, you can just do you can drag your files over. No. Do this. Close that project completely. Now, if you look inside here, you got your broken project and your new project. This one's just called My Project, but it could be whatever you want to call it. So this is our new project that we're trying to get access to. Inside there, we want to get the new files into here. Our content folder is what we're looking for. So inside here, the only new folder that we created was this guy, junk. These two are invisible. We don't need to mess with these at all. Okay. Now the broken project, okay, we go in here, and then we go into, I hope you guys can see this okay. Inside the broken project, we want to go to the content folder and see we've got assets and blueprints, two folders that we created. And I'm just going to left click, drag, select both of them. I'm going to come down to the content folder for the new project, and I'm just going to right click, and this is one of many ways of doing it. I'm going to right click, drag it over until see the blue comes over the top of the content folder for the new project. You let go and copy here. Now I wanted to copy it, I didn't want to move it, so that's why I did the right click, drag, drop, and copy there. There's other ways of doing it, but this was the most visual. So yeah. So now if I go to the content folder of our new project, we look inside here, we now have the assets folder and the blueprints folder. And if we were to look in there, we have our image, and here we have our character folder and our BP cool guy. So if we're just trying to retrieve one individual file, we can look in here and we'll see that, oh, this is our blueprint for cool guy. So we know that that's going to be our character blueprint. You can name it instead of BP. You can call it whatever you want for an abbreviation that you're going to remember. You're the developer. Make it up as you go along. So there we go. Now I can come back to my project. Well, this is the new project we created. Mine's just called New Project. And I can double click on it and it'll load up the project. By doing that, we should now see those new folders. Right before I go to bed, I'm going to be installing 4.20, and any further help will be based off of 4.20. And no 4.20 jokes, please. We pretend to be adults. Alright, so assets, images, there it is. That's our image. We just copied it directly in. Same thing for our character blueprint. There he is. Now, there could be some errors in this one because I don't have the third person character. So I'd have to come in here, add new feature or content pack, third person, add a project, and there we go. Save all, go back into our character blueprint, and we'll see, oh no, warning. The warning is because I did not make this a third person example. If I were to go back and redo this and this was a third person example, what's happening is it doesn't have all the key bindings and stuff. And that's just simply because I did not do that. So I'm actually going to delete the new project, and it should go away from right there. You see, just it left from there. And now I want to go back into I can just go back into the broken project. I'll launch it from there, but you get the picture. Once you go into it, all your files and folders are there. You're good to go. Any questions on that? It are just that simple. So there's our cool guy. Everything works. Now, if we were to make that new project, and I'll call this one is a third person. What the hell is there? Right there. And I'm going to call this new project. Create that. And again, I'm creating that as a third person. That way, I know that the other one that I created was created as a third person project. So I need to make sure that I'm following the same thing here. And you see, it kept a folder in here for the old project. Excuse me. Go back. Thank you. And we don't need that. I'm going to dump that. So now we're in the new one again. It's a third person example. The new files aren't here, so we can just close it. And now we can do the same thing again. Same example that what we did before. We're going to go to our new project, open it up so that we can see the content folder. Go into the content folder of our broken project, grab the folders or the files that we need, and right click when you have them all selected, drag, drop, copy here. Those are now in here. So now when I go into my new project, those files are already be there. No problem. Sometimes it's easier for me to just jump on and do a live stream like this and show it visually. So instead of trying to explain it in Discord, saying, okay, this is how you resolve this issue. Okay, this is our new project, and here is our new folders. So we have our character, BP Cool Guy. He's in here, and he works. Everything is good to go. No errors on the inputs or anything else, because we did it the way we were supposed to do instead of trying to take a shortcut. So, any other questions on this? This was really, really simple, really, really easy, and it's a quick way to get files into your project. And it really makes sense to be able to see it visually, so you know what you're actually looking at. Alright, so, sorry, I'm a neatness freak. I gotta have everything to a specific size and shape and conformity. Alright, well, hopefully that'll work for you. And, I don't know why I'm making changes and correcting this and getting ready to delete this whole project, but, yeah, in the future, if you got questions, go into my Discord channel and let me go into the public lobby. So you've got the public lobby. Whenever you come in, I did not tell you to go full screen. Kiss my butt. I have a questions and answers room right here. It is wide open. Anybody can show up in here and post your questions inside this room. If you have UE4 based questions, post them in here. I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. Don't send any Discord messages directly to me because it annoys the crap out of me. I'm old. I'm grumpy. It's my prerogative, right? And if you're wanting me to help, then at least, you can do is everybody can go to the questions and answer room and type in a awesome goes here So yeah, that's that. The public lobby is just for hanging out and chit-chatting and just normal stuff. Well, if you didn't know, then you didn't know. Cog Demos. These guys are little brief demos that were thrown together just to showcase certain things. Like this one, a lot of them were for the Cinti Studios asset packs. This one just kind of a conglomerate of, and is a shooter demo. These right here, this one's a World War II asset pack. This one's a sci-fi asset pack. Wild West. This one was done with some cars. Just kind of goofing off with that. This was from John Galt. Cool guy, but he's being a douche knuckle for some reason. His jetpack template that he had at one point for sale. And this was one of the try before you buy. Both of these two were try before you buy, just to see if Cinti Studios would acknowledge my emails. And if you want to try out the asset packs before you actually bought them, you could actually go into the, download this or this. This one's a sci-fi, this one's a city. The name's in it right there. TV4 is try before. And city pack and sci-fi pack. If you want to see the other asset packs from Cinti Studios on the Polygon series, let me know. I didn't do any of the basic ones. Yes, and as this comment that's posted right here, yes, for some people I will be charging money to perform these tutorials that I'm doing. I don't do these for free. I don't make any money. I don't have any income. Only income that I get right now comes from doing tutorials for people and for helping people out with Unreal Engine 4, and most of it is based on tips and sharing and things of that nature. So I always encourage people, especially while I'm, it's one of those things where, whatever you can spare. I mean, I'm not saying, now I did have it set up for the paid services, but that tends to drive people away whenever I'm not going to do anything to help you unless you pay me. I like helping people, but I would like for people just to remember me whenever it comes time to just throw a few bucks here and there. I'm not holding my hand out and begging, but I actually used to have a tip jar that was shows up on the screen and ticker for donations. And like, say for an example, if someone were to make a donation while the thing was going,
oh my God, I'm so excited. I wish I could wet my pants.
Now, I've actually been making mods for video games since around, again, my background's been covered a couple times in other videos, but I got my first computer in 1983. I started making my own text-based games in 1984. Then progressed into the PC realm whenever home computers and PC computers first came about, with the 8086s and 286s and 386s and 486s and Pentiums and Pentium 2s, Pentium 3, all the way up through. I've done level design, I've done consulting work, I'm certified and listed online as a weapons consultant. I've done consulting for a number of different video games. I'm not allowed to talk about which ones they were, but let's just say one of the earlier games that I consulted on was part of the, well, it kind of rhymes with post-Mecon, and Cranebow Nix. I can't say any, the names of the games or anything, but, But yeah, I started off doing consulting work all the way back whenever those games were brand new when first coming out. When it comes to game development, pretty much I just kind of knew a lot from doing game mods and mod development over the years. So I just kind of picked up into it and just self-taught. I haven't had any formal training whatsoever. I did go to a computer class in high school. Of course, that was back in the 80s. And I taught my teacher a lot of things. yeah, whenever it came to computer classes back in the 80s, it was Apple IIe computers, and it was basic language. That's what we had. There was no such thing as a mouse or color graphics. You had two colors. You had on or off. And it was either spinach green, or it was some god-awful mustard yellow. You had two choices. The color was either on or off. And if you wanted the yellowish color, you bought a yellowish colored monitor, an amber monitor. If you wanted a green, you bought a green monitor. You know, you didn't have a choice. You had two colors, on and off. So when the Radio Shack color computer first came out, that was, oh my god, it's 16 colors and 4 kilobytes of RAM. It's unheard of. Yeah. So I've been there, been around the block, and yeah, that kind of thing. So I have been passed up for jobs in the past. One of them was doing 3D animation, which I qualified for, and my portfolio at the time was up to date, and yeah, they loved my portfolio. Everything was great up until the time they asked what college that I went to, and told them hard knocks. I didn't go to a school to get education. I went out and I sought my own education. I learned how to do it myself. 3D modeling, 3D animation, which I don't do either of those anymore. You know, I did cars, and I did weapons, and I did maps, and I did map items from buildings to whatever was needed for making a mod or for making a game. I made my own models. I made my own everything. So, yep. So, if you guys are wondering why I haven't had any other videos, excuse me, I did not tell you to come up there. What I've been doing for, the last couple of days, somebody has gotten me hooked on frickin' Conan Exiles. So I've been playing that every frickin' day. The other thing was playing on a RP GTA server, GTA 5 server, hosted by a really cool guy. That server is live right now. However, we're trying to get a few things taken care of, get it, all the scripts right and everything else. It works. Everything works great. You can get jobs. You can go out and be a police officer, but you're whitelisted. You have to be whitelisted. Yeah, law enforcement, not my cup of tea. I worked for the local sheriff's department for 2 years, and it pissed me off so much I had to leave. The too cutthroat, and they tend to turn on their own too easily, and yeah. Yeah, Paragon, I was doing the Paragon stuff by request, and I found that the majority of the community from Paragon was really, really toxic. I mean, World of Tanks toxic. And I'm sorry, but I'm old. I don't play well with others to begin with. Yeah, the characters were easy to work with. Yeah, I mean, the game looked like it was a good game overall, but, Fart Night is what killed it for sure. Epic Games decided that they were just going to focus everything on that, and, as seen by E3, I mean, they made a big showing at E3 just because of that. And honestly, the only reason why I even do anything with Epic Games is for Unreal Engine 4. The abilities, you have to manually make them. None of the abilities actually work. The animations are there. The particle effects, the sound effects, the animations are all there. You just have to create an animation blueprint to make it all work. And a simple, basic third-person animation blueprint is just not going to cut it. Because if you were to look at a third-person blueprint for the standard animation blueprint, you're really, really simple. All you're having it do is it notices you've created the input of spacebar, and it allows you to do the jump animation. It tells the computer to jump. Okay, now it jumps, and then yeah, don't expect a hell of a lot with all those. The animation blueprints are a pain in the ass to get right. Whenever it comes to, and one of the big things that whenever I was trying to put together a good team for doing another version of Paragon, I had 5 different people that I gave the simple task for make Shinbi's dash ability work as it's supposed to. I know how to make it work correctly, but I'm not going to do all the work. I wasn't going to do all the work. These are people who wanted to work on a project, so I let 5 different people give it a try, and 5 different people all came back with the exact same method of making it work. If you ever played a game, and I did not, but I know how to use Google and I know how to use YouTube's and search for things. Shinbi's animation setup for doing the dash ability and how it actually worked. And correct me if I'm wrong, because remember, I didn't play the game. Whenever you activate the dash ability, it takes the direction that you're looking at, okay? And it's not a teleport, and that's what they were doing, is they were teleporting from point A to point B. It is not a teleport. It's an animation sequence. And what happens is whenever you're facing due north, we'll say, and the area that you're looking at, whenever you're facing that direction, it's going to pick a distance. We'll say 5,000 is the distance, and it's going to take her to that location. She does not walk to that location. She moves to that location, but if you look at the animation closely, it looks a lot like she's doing the jump loop animation. So you're telling your character to do the jump loop. So now she jumps into the air, and her feet are just kind of hovering above the ground, and now she moves from point A to point B. You're taking control of the character and moving it from point A to point B. And when you get to the new location, you do the end animation for the jump, essentially, and now she's back on her feet again. So the animation, when you did dash ability, you traveled across the ground, sliding on your feet, going across the ground. It's that simple. You just have to tell the character to be able to do that, to go from point A to point B. But you also have to take into account another series of variables, and that is, what happens if the player is now looking at a wall? Are they going to just teleport through the wall? Or not teleport, but just travel through the wall? You actually have to use a ray trace and be able to find out if the point that you're looking at, if that area is actually got a... Yeah, you can do it all in blueprints. It's all doable in blueprints. You have to pretty much just say, you get the target. You get the... I'm doing this from memory. I'm not even looking into Unreal Engine 4. That's why this lovely screen here, you're seeing my backdrop, I'm actually doing all this from memory. So the way you have to do it with a line trace is you're telling it to check the location, and you're going to have that red line. If you've ever played with line traces, you can turn on the line trace so you can see it and have it stay there for 1 second, 5 seconds, 30 seconds, permanently, whatever. But you shoot that red laser beam out, and if it hits an object, it turns green after that. So the green is what's happened after it's hit the first object. And you can have it report back and say, okay, this is this object. It's going to ask if it is a specific type or class of object. Now you have to say, is this object a wall? You have to find out if it's a wall. I'm going to explain how it all works, and you can figure it out on your own. I'm not going to recreate any of these things, but you have to ask yourself all these questions to make it work correctly. If I'm aiming this way to do dash ability, is the end destination blocked by a wall? If so, is that distance more than 2 feet? If so, there's no point in doing the animation or doing the whole sequence. Just say you can't do that now. You just respond back with you can't do that, or play a sound file saying can't do it. Love my sound effects, right? So you know what you've got to do is say, okay, if it is between 1,000 and 5,000, if the obstacle is at 3,000, then instead of it traveling the distance of 3,000 in this direction, you want to get that location of where the wall is and subtract the distance by, we'll say, 100. So when you teleport or you transport to that location, you're not going to go into the wall. You have a buffer area before that wall. So now when you use that ability, it checks to see if there's a wall in play, and if there is, it gets a distance to the wall, subtracts, we'll say 100, which is like a foot, we'll say, or 1 yard away from that wall. So now you transport your character to that location instead of transporting behind the wall. So these are things you got to take into account. And like I said, all 5 people that tried out for doing all this stuff, they were trying to do, and I should probably be doing something on the screen, because this is probably boring as crap just watching a nothing screen here, just hearing me talk. But whenever you're doing it, I'll actually go back and do something, just so there's something on the screen here. You've got to take all these things into account. And when these guys were just doing it, they were just doing a teleport. And like, oh, look, I can do it. And now they're standing here. Now they do the ability, and boom, they teleport over there. That's not that ability. And they couldn't grasp that. But it works. Yes, but it doesn't work the way it's supposed to be. If some pecker monkey like me that's never played the game jumps in and does it, ooh, look, this is a cool ability. But somebody that's played the game before goes in there and tries that, man, that's not how that works. You're going to spot a phony, you're going to spot a fake, or broken mechanics. A real player from that real game is going to notice that junk, and you're not going to put up with it. You're going to complain saying, hey, that's not how that animation works. And like I was talking about the animations, if you were to pay attention to her animation, it looks a lot like this. Maybe not the arms and shoulders and everything else, but her feet are off the ground and she just kind of hovers there. It's a basic jump loop animation. And then when you get to your location, you just, boom, that's all your animation is just that. It just plops you onto the ground. Allows you to go back into the idle animation. I'm just looking at a blank project right here. Well, first off, you can goat away. We don't need no third-person characters. I never use a third-person character. We're going to use our BP cool guy. So we go to our world settings, game mode override. We're going to do third-person game mode. Default pawn is BP cool guy. So now I'm going to go in here and hit play. There we go. We got our character. And a couple things that bugged the crap out of me. You go away. You go away. And one thing really quickly. On event begin play, you can do this here, you can do this in the map, but I got to make sure that the mouse cursor is gone whenever you first go into the map. You want to make sure that you are setting the input to game mode only. You're getting your player controller reference, and then you are set show mouse cursor to unchecked. So you make sure that no matter what's going on, as soon as you begin to play with this character, you're automatically, bang, you're going to have that. You're going to be without a mouse cursor. Now, it doesn't do it when you actually build the game and everything works great. Everything is normal. But whenever you're doing this, I have the mouse cursor bug, and it bugs me, and that prevents that from happening. And I don't like this plain white character. So let's actually go to our content, and we'll just go to our character here, and then we're going to go to, actually screw up, images. It doesn't matter where I'm doing this. Screw it. Like I said, I'm going to get rid of this anyway. Skins folder. Skins. I didn't even spell a damn thing right. S-K-I-N-S. And then what I want to do is I don't want that white character anymore. This is just a quick, I'm going to add another color, and I just need to go to the mesh, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag a copy in here of the skeletal mesh, and we're going to change that to F2 SK underscore blue underscore guy. We just got to be different. And our texture, we don't really need that. Our materials, we can grab these two guys right here, copy those into the skins, and I'm going to rename those. This is the body texture, so we're going to call this, what the hell are we going to call this? M, since it's a material, M underscore blue body. And this is the chest logo. We're just going to do M underscore blue logo. These don't look very blue, so we're going to go in here, grab this, click in here in the body color. We're moving really quickly here, aren't we? And we're going to pick a lovely color of blue. We can do whatever we want here, but we're going to do this. 0, 0, and 1 is a perfect blue. We're going to take this blue, we're going to drag it up here, so now we can use it anytime we want to in our color picker. Not our nose picker, but our color picker. So now we save this guy, close it, go into our blue body, and you got about 9,000 squigglies in here. And I'm going to click on the body color, come over here to default value, and then choose that color, click OK, apply, and that's going to go ahead and save and apply everything here. And I'm going to save it one more time here. Should have just hit save. It'll save and apply if you hit save, but I forgot. Whenever I'm doing testing, it's so much easier to just do it like this and create this and then come in here. Blue guy, we're going to change over to our blue body and our blue logo. So now we have a separate character we can actually work with. So we know that if we're working with our cool guy, he's not white, he's blue. So we click on our mesh, change our skeletal mesh, and there we go. So now we go on and play. Our cool guy is blue. Just kind of a quick way to separate things. So if you're putting NPCs in, they can stay white. If you're building classes for your NPCs, then I would change them to a yellow color for a neutral, green for friendly, and red for enemy, or whatever. You know, you make up your own color scheme as you want, and you can assign just the way I just did for making custom skins and skeletal meshes. Little dumb things like that. So I was saying about the dash ability, and that one thing, and I probably should have done this as a different video. So, but oh well. When you're doing the dash ability, you're going to want to hit the what was the key binding, and we'll say I'm just going to use F for right now. If you can't remember what it is, if you try hitting F, I'm like, okay, I need to scroll through here, and I want to find where the... too much work. Right-click, type in escape, and you'll get the keyboard icon right here. I'm not going to use the escape key, but I can come back over here to the input key, and come to keyboard, and scroll down to F. I'm not making a permanent key binding. I'm assigning this character to do this particular thing when I hit the F key. So we're hitting F. Now, what we're trying to do with this one, I'm not going to do a full dash ability here because that's just going to take way too much time for me to do all this stuff. The first thing we want to do is when we hit this, and I don't have any custom sounds, and this is, you know, all on the fly here. So no custom sounds, no particle effects, none of the cool stuff from there. If you what people couldn't understand is, if you're going to work on Paragon and try to do anything with all the cool stuff that comes with it, forget about the assets. Don't use the assets. Don't start with the assets. Start with UE4 Mannequin and start fresh from that. And if you can't figure out what you're doing with UE4 Mannequin, then what's the point of trying to work with a character that's going to need all kind of other work on it? Yeah, so since we did it this way to actually do the key, now if you're on another character, and say if this is Shinbi we're working on, and you want Knuckle Fart over here to do a different action whenever they hit the F key, you're only saying that our cool guy is going to do this particular thing whenever I hit the F key. He's the only one that's going to do that. So if we want him to jump or crouch or do whatever, tell him to do an animation. We have some basic animations here. All we have is jump, idle, the jump stuff, run and walk. So jump loop. So if we want him to do this, when we press the key, let's say play animation, and it's automatically going to pull a reference to the mesh. So we're going to use that same one, but we're going to take this animation, we're going to actually do the jump loop, okay? And it's a looping, we don't have to worry about that, but we're going to play, when we first press this F key, we're going to do this animation. And this is probably going to be rough, and it's probably not going to work correctly. This isn't the right one. No, this isn't the right one. We're trying to change the instance. Set animation instance. So when we do this, we press the F key, we're going to tell our character to do this jump animation. When we let go, we want it to go back to our normal third-person animation blueprint. So pretty sure this is not going to work, but you know what, whatever. So now we're running around and we hit this. As long as I hold the F key down, it's going to do that. And I let go, it's going to go back to doing regular animation. So we're not worried about doing a jump animation. This is something totally different. So that's the... See, I'm in the animation. I stopped moving. I can still move around. You know, you can tell it to stop movement or whatever else, or to do something else. We're just telling him to do that animation. It's going to do it and stop. So if we actually set it as looping, let's see what happens. Now if we go in here to play, we run around, everything is good, we can jump, and then we hit F. See, it's looping, so his arms are going to be flipping up and down, but this is not the correct animation you would be doing for that anyway. But you get the idea. If you're trying to recreate that dash ability, you hit the F key, you want him to go into that animation until it stops, and then he goes back to a normal animation. Simple enough, right? Lighting up the inhibitor rings, that's... You have to remember that everything is a matter of triggers and events. It's events and sequences. Everything is an event. And it would be no different than if I came in here and created a new blueprint. We're going to call this our light switch. Doesn't matter what it is. We are going to add a component of a box collision, and this is the simplest mechanism here that we can work with, is a box collision. And then we're going to activate another component, and it's going to be a point light. So we're going to add a light to the scene. We're going to take that light and we're going to just drag it up like this. And so it's visible, let's actually change the light color to red. And again, we can do red, drag it up here so we can save that color. So now we're going to have a red light come on, compile and save, and then you have to remember that, let's get rid of all this stuff right here. Point light, visible, I'm going to turn that off, compile, save, close, compile and save our BP cool guy. Let's go ahead and take our light switch, drag it into the map, and it's actually going to do nothing. See, we have no light. We need to take this light switch, and I'm going to go ahead and just make the box a little bit bigger so you get the point of what we're actually doing here. I mean, I could actually go in here also, and another good way of doing it is, let's actually delete everything. Starting with our base, let's add a new component of a cube, and then we're going to add in our box collision. What we're going to do with our box, we want to make it, we'll go 2 by 2 by 0.1. So we have this little flat box here, little platform, and our box collision, we're going to bring this on top of that, and we're going to resize it to, let's actually go 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. Screw it, I don't care. I think we can actually make that bigger. So essentially all we're doing is when we step on this box, we're going to create an event. And everything in Unreal Engine 4 is basically, it's event, action, event, action, event, action. You have to have an instigator for the event to create the action. So now we're going to add that light back in, and we're going to, come on, get up here. And we're going to change it to a red color. There we go. So if we do compile and save now, and we take this light switch, we put it into the map, holy crap. Let's actually put it back in here normal. You see the light is on. We don't want the light to be on from default. So we go in here and turn off visibility. Compile, save. Now if we look at the map, the light bulb is off. What we're wanting to do is we want this box collision. If we right click on that, add event on component begin overlap, when our third person character, or in this case our cool guy, so we look at our other actor, we're going to cast to our BP cool guy, and again this is anything within Unreal Engine 4. You pick out what your event's going to be. In this case our event is we're stepping on a pressure plate, and then it's going to turn on the light. If you're wanting it to be like inhibitor, whenever you get within a certain radius, it now has a glow to it, and then hey, kiss my ass, we're not going to autosave. We don't do that. Editor preferences, I don't like autosave. AUTOSC, autosave, and go away. So yeah, you're just wanting to set the event. In this case, our event is going to be this. If your event is you're walking close to the inhibitor, and the rings then start to get a glow, or they play a sound, or they start attacking, or whatever, the whole point is this is our action. This is going to tell it, we're telling when this happens, we're going to do that. So to make it nice and simple, you have zero knowledge of Unreal Engine? Well, then you're perfect then. The less you know going into learning Unreal Engine 4, the better you're going to be. This turned into a quick fix video, and it's turned into a whole other spin-off here, but the less you know going into it, the more you can learn correctly if you follow the right people's tutorials. And I suck in a lot of different ways, but my method of teaching people how to understand Unreal Engine 4 is, first off, and never take this the wrong way, but get over yourself. You're not special, you're not happy and lucky and everything, whatever. Just go in there and go into it open-minded and look at things. Like right now, this is the whole thing, is we are creating this action of our box. And I'm moving kind of quick, so if I'm moving too fast, tell me to slow down. Alright, whenever our cool guy steps in this box, we want to take our point light and we want to, what do we want to do? We want to turn that light on, because right now the light's off. So we want to get a reference to our point light, and let's say activate. So let's activate the light when we step on it. Okay, so what happens if we do that and just leave it there? So now we go in here to play. We see our blue guy now instead of our white guy. I'm prejudiced. I like every color. So now we step on it. Did it work? Nope. Sure didn't work. So we set the visibility. So let's actually do that. Set visibility. And we're going to do this. And new visibility is true. Let's try that, because we told our point light to no longer be visible. So let's go in here and play now. And as soon as we step on the box, there we go. Now we have it red and it stays on. But what if we want it whenever we step? You can see it even capture shadows and stuff like that. That's pretty awesome, right? Now when we step off of that platform, do we want our light to stay on or do we want it to go off? That way, right now, the light is permanent. So if you want the light to be permanent, then we're done. You know, you walk over here and, oh, okay, now that light, I've stepped in here, that light's on. Whenever I leave, that light's still on. But if I want to turn that light off, well, if we were beginning to overlap, then why not add an event for end overlap? And essentially, we can just grab this stuff, Control-C, Control-V, and paste it back in here. And then just connect the dots. Other actor goes to here. Yeah, that's all we're doing is connecting the dots here. And we uncheck this. And now, compile and save. We walk over here, turns it on. We go back out, it turns it off. So now, what happens if we come over here and we jump? We jump out of that box. So, what would that actually be useful for? Okay, somebody's entered the zone, and now we've created an event. We have triggered an event to actually happen. In this case, the event is actually turning on a light. But when we leave that sector, okay, the light goes off. So, you know, you could do all kinds of stuff with that. What if you were to do, you could do widgets, and there's so many different things you can do. Like say, the light is on, the light is off. You can complicate things. All of my streams are automatically saved. Automatically. So, because I move kind of quick whenever I go through the streams, until someone says, hey, slow down, I got a question about this. So if you can always go back and watch it later and fast forward and rewind, that kind of stuff. But just because we told it to turn the light on and turn the light off, that's not all we can do with that same basic event. When we're doing that, we're telling it to create the event. In this particular case, we're telling it to set the visibility. Just simply because I gotta have sound, I gotta have something that's more audible besides my horrible voice. And I hate doing this, but add new content, add feature or content pack, starter content, add a project. I hate doing it, but again, I'm gonna delete these projects anyway. I'm just kind of screwing around with this stuff. But as long as you remember the same basic thing is always ask questions. It's all about the questions. You know, whenever I go in here to play, am I standing on that box? No. So nothing's happening. Am I standing on it? Yes. So now something is happening. Am I standing on it now? No. So that something is not happening anymore. The reason why I added in the starter content is audio. We now have explosions. But even more, we can set them in as sound cues. And that's what I wanted, was the sound cues. So now what will happen is also we have particles. We have an explosion particle. So now what we can do is make it even more cool. Is we want to play sound and play an emitter. Spawn emitter at location. How the hell are we going to find our location? Especially if we have 30 of those things in our map. How are we going to find that exact location? Well, we can grab a reference to our cube. Just left click on it and just drag it in here. And then from the reference to our cube, let's make a little bit more room here. And let's actually come over here and we want to get world location. And then link the yellow to the yellow. It's complicated, right? Well, what about that yellow? That's not the right one. Ignore this one. This one doesn't work. Leave it alone. It does, but that's not what we're doing. The emitter we're going to use is the explosion. So now that we've done this to get the cube and get the world location, actually I don't want to use the cube's location, so I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to left click on it and break that line. I want from where the point light is, that's where we want the explosion to pop up from. But let's also go in here and drag off from here and play sound at location. And let's go ahead and do the same thing we did here. And let's get world location. So we got our world location for our cube now. And we're going to link that to there. So now we're going to play the sound of sound cue explosion cue. So now what's going to happen is when we step on the box, sorry, I'm zooming all the way out here, we're going to turn the visibility on for the point light. We're going to play an explosion animation or emitter, and then we're going to play a sound. So compile, save, let's go back into the map and play. See, now we know for sure. Boom. But wouldn't it be cool if we actually did this and then the light actually just went off? It just stayed on for a second and then went off. Again, if we're going to do it that way, then we don't need this stuff. We can get rid of that one. And all we got to do is just take it and grab a reference to our point light. And now, we've told it right here to turn on. But here, we're going to need to tell it to turn off. But we need to have some way of pausing it. So, delay. We're going to create a delay here of, we're going to make it 1 full second. And then I am going to set visibility to false. In other words, I'm not going to have a check in that box under new visibility. So now what's going to happen is when we step on the box, it's going to turn on the light, play the emitter, and then it's going to play the sound, and then it's going to turn the light back off. So first thing that's going to happen is it's going to turn the light on. Doesn't matter where we move it now, it's automatically going to work. So we're going to tell it to turn the light on, play the explosion emitter, play the sound, and then turn the light off. So there we go. The light went off. Nothing to worry about whenever we go over. And it's going to work all the time. But if you're trying to set a condition, well, I don't want my player to just sit here and just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We want it to not work for 3 seconds. You can turn the visibility on for the light. You don't want it to stay on for a full second. You said that's too long. Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. 0.5. We'll do it for a half second. Compile and save. But yeah, I'm just being a smart ass here. So half second. Absolute beginners, Vertus tutorials, or mine. You're already in the right spot, but how can you add those effects to a material that's already made? Make your own damn materials. Essentially, okay. Example: the material of this cube is white. What if we want to change the color of that material, to a different color? Well, also, we can do the same thing. It's all the whole point is you have to create the condition. You're asking that question. When I'm doing this, make this happen. By doing that, we've added all these different conditions and these different actions to happen here. Hell, if we want to, we can actually go into our third-person character. Let's make it even more complicated. Go into our third person, go into our BP cool guy. He is freaking cool. We want him to do our thing. And don't forget, we also had our F key. So we can do this. We can hover around and then stop whenever we stop. So go into our BP cool guy. Let's create a new variable. And new variable is on switch question mark. It's a question. We're asking, are we on the freaking switch? So let's make this cool, right? Let's move this out of the way for now. So, hey Ash, how you been? So we're going to add one more condition. We've asked here on switch. Are we on the switch? So let's do a event tick. Event tick essentially is asking these questions every freaking second of the damn day. So we need to get a reference to this. Now, if you just left click and drag it in, because I'm being lazy, I'm only using one hand here. No, I'm not doing anything perverse with my other hand just yet. Pornhub. Sorry. Yeah, then you can select I want a get node or a set node. Or I can hold down the control key and left click and drag it in. When I let go, it's going to get me a get. If I hold down the alternate key and left click and drag it in, it's going to give me a set node. So easy to remember. Yes, I'll be, no comment on Pornhub, right? Got to do my bilateral workout, get some strange on my left hand. Anyway, let's move right along. Let's see. We're going to be asking this question. Well, how do you ask that question? You hold down the B key and left click and you create a magical branch node. The branch node is the question node. I'm asking, am I on the switch? So, am I on the switch? No? Well, then don't do a damn thing. We don't care. But if we are on there, let's do something different. We've changed our skeletal mesh over to be the blue guy. But what happens if we just say, for now, let's change our skeletal mesh. But we can also change our materials too. You were asking about materials, so let's change the material. So if we step, are we on the switch? Then we need to set material, and we get our reference to our mesh, which is good. We need that. And now we can actually copy this over here and do, if we're not on it, then we can go back to our original one. So I'm going to double this up. So I'm going to Control C and then Control V. So if we are, then we'll do one thing. If we're not, we're going to do the other. So, but let's look at our mesh. Let's only change element 0. Let's only change this, our body, or do we? If we want, we can change just the blue logo. We can change it back to white. But I'm going to just do for right now, and all I have to do is select element 0 or 1. If you look at the characters from Paragon, there's a dozen plus freaking elements on those materials. So you can change Shinbi's costume just by walking through a door. You're setting that event. So basically what we're doing here for right now is we're going to change our blue body back to the white body. So if we are on the switch, we're going to set our material to, oh, so many materials. What was the original one called? UE4 mannequin body. And that's element 0, which is the body element. Element 1 would just be the little dot in the center of his chest. We're going to leave that alone. But now when we leave and we're no longer on the switch, we're back to the blue body. So if we do compile and save, oh my god, I forgot to connect the mesh to the target. Oh, terrible me. Hell, it is 4:20 in the morning. Hell, I missed my 4:20 smoke break. Yeah, I told you no 4:20 jokes, and I made one. How about that shit? So, hit play, go in here, and nothing's going to change yet because we haven't told it to do anything yet. So, we hit our light switch, and then we need to... Now, we can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to do it the simple way, and then I'm going to say screw it and I'm going to be more complex. We're at the end of the line of all these things we're saying to do here. But what if we just said, okay, cast to, well, that didn't work, so cool guy. We want to cast to BP underscore cool guy, our character. And we want to get player character. So we're gonna talk to our cool guy here, and actually we've already got a reference to him here, but oh well, not worried about it. We're just gonna keep on keeping on here because it should know that we're still in our cool guy. But as our BP cool guy, we want to set on the switch to true when we step on it. Okay, so now we've set it to true, and now we need to go back here. The thing we deleted, our box collision, right click on it, add event, end overlap. Now I'm just going to scroll back over here, and I'm going to grab these guys here. All I did was left click, drag, and then hold down the control key, and then left click on that node, control C, and then scroll back over here, control V, paste it back in here. I'm going to connect the dots, and guess what? We don't need you anymore. You can go away. Go back to other actor, connect you up to there, and when we're not on the box, we're going to say no, we're not on the switch. So compile and save. So now what will happen is when we go over here, hey, now we're white guy with a blue dot on our chest. We leave the box and we're blue again. See, we put it in after our delay. Light switch, yeah. So it's all the way back here after the delay. So if we wanted to move that, I'm actually going to control C on here. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to move it way back over here. And since we already have a reference to our cool guy, I'm just going to grab everything, drag it over here just a little bit farther, and grab this guy, bring him back. Since we already had a reference to it here, it'll be easier to just go ahead and do set on switch, and then just connect it in here manually. So now it's going to do it right off the bat, and it's going to bug me if I don't do it, so I'm going to clean everything up a little bit. So now we're utilizing what was already there, keeping it simpler, cleaner, and now we're actually doing it when we first step on there. Then we're going to do the color change first. We're going to do the light on. We're going to do the emitter. We're going to do the sound. Then we're going to make a delay, and then we're going to turn our light back off. And then when we step off of the thing, now as soon as we step on it, bang, we change colors. Step off, we go back to our original color. You can use these same basic principles for everything. It's just it's just that simple. in the beginning. When you start adding all these complex things in there, you start making it more complex. So now we're just saying we're creating the event and we're telling it to do something as a result. We step onto this platform, we get an explosion, we get the sound, we change our color, we turn a red light on for a half second and then off. But then as soon as we step off it, we just turn back to our regular blue character again. Not complicated. The reason why so many people start doing Unreal Engine 4 and they fail is because they don't focus in on the simple things first. Start easy, think logically, and then expect it to break. Because when you start having things screwing up, why? Because Unreal Engine 4. Things happen. If you start watching some guy's tutorial on YouTube and you follow along with the tutorial and he says, do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. No, he's going to do all this crap. You're just going to emulate what you're seeing on the screen. You're not learning shit until you do it 3 or 4 times. Screw that. Back up, regroup, look at the basic fundamentals of what you're trying to do. Like we talked about, if you're trying to do the dash ability for Shinbi, you know, you hit the F key, and first thing we did was we tell it to start the animation. But then we want to transfer our character from point A to point B. You break down each individual problem and make it up as you go along and create your series of events and then streamline it and clean it up as you go. The more you know and the more you plan ahead of time, and I'm going to say this, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. If you think about what you're doing before you do it and plan it better, then you're going to get there faster. It's like with this thing right here, we said we don't want the player to be able to do this. Oh yeah, and spam it. If you give a player the ability to spam something, they're going to spam it. If you give a person the chance to be an asshole, they're going to be an asshole. Expect it. We're talking about gamers. We're all a bunch of dickheads. So plan accordingly. If you know that people are going to be shitheads, then plan accordingly. So what we want to do is, we've done all this stuff right here. How can we tell it to prevent it from being spammed? And it doesn't matter what the example is. It's the same basic principle. I don't want my player to be able to sit here and do this. It would get annoying as crap as you're sitting here and some guy's doing this and stop doing that. Well, how do you make them stop doing that? Is you put a delay in between. Okay, I did it now, but can I do it again? Yes or no. We set a condition. It's all about variables also. So with the same thing right here, what we've done with our box here is we've taken our collision box, this brownish looking box right here, and we've said as soon as our character, our cool guy, steps on it, now if the asshole guy, not the cool guy, but the asshole guy steps on it, it's not going to do anything. It's only going to work if the cool guy steps on it. So cool guy steps on it, it tells our cool guy, hey dude, you're on a switch. So now it's going to turn the point light on by setting the visibility to on, because you know, when from the start we told it to uncheck there, so it's not on from default, and we told it to be red. Make it whatever color we want, but again, then we play the explosion, then we play the sound, we play the sound cue. The reason why we use the sound cue to quickly touch on that is because we can set attenuation. If I'm here and I do this and you're 30 feet away from me, you won't hear the sound. Only I will hear the sound because I'm within the 30-foot radius of that explosion. If you come closer during the explosion, you're within the radius. You can set a radius, like a sphere or a ball. And if nobody else is in that ball, they're not going to hear that sound. You can set that radius. So we had our delay here and our visibility. What we can also do is, how do we ask, how can we say, can you do this? Can we do all this? Well, yeah, we just have to set a variable. When we're right here, we ask this question: are we on a switch? This is the condition of the question. The question is yes or no. Yes or no what? Are we on a switch? Yes or no? Oh, okay. So are we on a switch? Yes. Okay, if we're on a switch, then do this. If we're not on the switch, do that. Branch nodes. Learn them, live them, love them. So, same basic principle here. We can do this right here. We can do it all in the character. Because if we do it in the character, it's not going to be based on the switch. It can be based on the character's action. So if I try spamming back and forth or running back and forth on it, then that's one thing. But if the switch says, yes, you can do it every time you step on it, let's make it in the character. So it's based off of the character telling the character whether or not they can do this stuff or not. What's the easy way to do this? Well, we could do a couple different things here. Well, first off, we need to say a variable. We need to ask, this variable is, can we do that thing? I just totally spelled it wrong. So I can go back in here and change it here, change it to there, or I can click here and hit F2 and say, can we do that thing? Question mark. Can we do that thing? We're asking this. This is the branch is a question. What is the question? The question is, are we on a switch? Well, same thing here. If we at a branch and we ask the question, well, can we do that thing? Well, yes or no. If we can do that thing, then we can do this right here. So let's actually take this same thing right here, and from our event tick, let's just go ahead and move it across over here and give us some space to work with. Instead of asking, are we on the switch, we need to ask, can we do that thing? So, there we go. So, we're asking, can we do it? Yes. But we still have to have, are we on the switch? So we got to have that question as well. So if we ask the question, are we on the switch? Yes. Okay. Can we do it? Let's start moving things back over here so it's a little bit neater. So again, we're asking the question. Question. Are we on the switch? Yes. Then can we do this thing? Yes, then do it. If no, then don't do it. So what we need to do at this point is compile and save. Now, we need to set a timer, just a basic timer of saying 5 seconds. We can't do this thing again for 5 seconds after we've already done it. You can set time for whatever you want. It's just that's the thing, is you're creating that element of you're dictating everything. You're saying, just like this, are we on the switch? A question, are we on the switch? So we're connecting. They're the condition for the question, or this is what the question is. Are we on the switch? And if we are, we can do this thing. If we're not, we can't do that thing. But we need to, at this point, if we are on that switch, then we need to set, can we do that thing, to false. It's going to change our material, and then it's going to say, no, we can't do it anymore. And then we need to add a delay in here. And our delay, we want it to say 5 seconds. And then from there, all right, get up here out of my way. We can do the same thing we did here. We get a reference to, can we do that thing? And we're going to set that to true. So what we're doing is we ask, can we do it? Yes. Then do it, wait, and set, can we do it to no? Wait 5 seconds and then set it back to yes. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense right there. I'll go back through it again one more time to make sure, but let's look at it and see if it works. Come over here, it works. And it's still working. So we didn't get it right. So can we do that thing? Default is yes. So default value is no, so let's try checking it. So default answer is yes. So let's try that. Still working. We're not asking the question the correct way here. So what are we doing wrong? This is the whole thing, is trial and error. We've created a condition. We're asking a question. Are we on a switch? If the answer is yes, then can we do that thing? If the answer is yes, then do it. See, this is where we can actually expand that a little bit more. Let's actually move these guys over. Let's change this to false. So when we're on the switch, what we want to do is set, can we do it? If it's true here, if we do it like this, when we ask the question, are we on the switch? The answer is yes. Then yes, we can do that thing. If we're not, let's go ahead and do the same thing. Set, can we do that thing, to false. So what we want to do here is we want this to do the action, and then we want it to set, can we do it, to no. Wait 5 seconds and then do it again to allow us to do it again. I don't see that working. We're not asking the question in the correct way here. So how else can we ask that question? So we can just keep right on here. We need to add that delay in. I don't want to do the delay on the character. We're asking a redundant question here. If we're on it, we're saying that we can do it. If the answer is no, then we don't want to do anything. Right? So sometimes you have to ask those redundant questions, but this is where we're failing right here. We would need to make sure that if we're not standing on it, then it doesn't need to do anything. So I'm actually going to clear all this off because we're asking too many questions. I'm going to get rid of all the extra nonsense. I'll come up with a better way of doing that. So again, keep it simple, stupid. Start off simple, and then take the time. I'm not going to bore everybody with all this stuff right now of actually going through it. But you can set it up, and it's all a matter of asking those basic questions. And that's the same thing. It's 4:30 in the morning. It's getting close to 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting really, really tired. So it's time for me to go. Well, it's actually past time for me to go to bed. The only reason why I stayed up this late is because I want to make a Walmart run. I'm going to go to Walmart. Damn, dealing with people, so I'll go at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the damn morning. The things to remember about Unreal Engine 4 is simple. A branch node is your best friend. It's just saying question. Well, what the hell's the question? The question is, are you on the switch? Oh, okay. So yeah, if I am on the switch, then this is what we need to do. We need to perform these actions. But if are you on the switch? No, I'm not on the switch. This is the action we needed to do. So So the same thing with, let's go ahead and compile and save. No worries. Catch me when I'm wide awake, and I'm actually much more coherent with what I'm doing. Same thing here. When we're on our overlapping box, we're saying we're on the switch. We're setting that variable to true. Okay? And yes, I don't know what the hell you're locking up there for. So we've set the condition here. You're on the switch. Do this thing. Do what thing? Well, we want to set in our character, we want to turn that variable to true. All right, cool. We also want to turn visibility on for the light. We want to play the explosion emitter, and then we want to play the sound cue, and then we want to turn the light off. Cool. But then when we step off of the box, we're turning this variable back off again. So, hey, no problem. So essentially what we could have also done right here is also at this point we could have pulled in from our character, can do that, let's see, set can we do that thing to false, but we could also do delay here. Connect that. Set that to our 5 seconds. And do the same thing here. Put that one to true. If you undo that, let's Control C. And then Control V. Come off from right here. It's all a matter of asking those questions and getting those answers. Sometimes you have to ask those questions in different ways. Yeah, and that's the whole point of this whole example here is, you know, just knowing the basics. You know, you're asking questions and you're giving answers. You're showing results. And when I step on this, you know, do this. When I step back off of it, do that. It's all a matter of, and that's Unreal Engine 4 in game development. Doesn't matter what you're doing, it's the same thing. If you're trying to do the dash ability and say, okay, is there a wall in front of me? Is it clear? Am I able to go from point A to point B, the location that I'm wanting to go to? If so, then go ahead and do it. If not, then, you know, what do I do then? You have to set a series of conditions, because if you're standing right here and you do that ability, you're going to teleport right through the wall. So, you know, it's just a matter of setting those conditions and asking questions. Well, if there's something in the way, what do I do? How do I find out if there's something in the way? Well, you're going to have to do a ray trace or a line trace. You're going to have to look. I mean, you don't want to just travel right through walls and do nothing. So you have to be able to tell things. And I haven't done a line trace in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. So it'll take some screwing around for me to get back into it again. But essentially, it's just the same thing we did for hitting the F key. I can Control C, Control V, and let's change that to, we hit the E key. How about that? If you want to be like, oh, whenever I hit E, how about Control E or Alt E or Shift E or Command key or whatever? Or if you want PS4 or Xbox controls or Android or touch or motion, this is how you set your inputs. When I press E, I want to first off get a reference to my mesh. I want to get world location. You'd also want rotation scale and a lot of other things too. This is a very, very bare bones thing here. We're going to get our world location, and then we want to set world location. And so when we press this, nothing happens when we release it. We just want to do it when we press it. So when we press it, we want to get our world location, and then we want to set our world location to this value plus a value. So how do we do that? So we come off from here, well, we just hit the plus key. So we know this is going to be a vector. So a vector plus vector, or yeah, let's try a vector plus vector. And then we set our location to here. So we only want to change our Z height or our Y or our X. Well, what we'd have to do is actually get our rotation, get world rotation, and we don't know which way we're actually looking. So from there, this is where it'll get complicated. I'm going to keep it simple, stupid for right now, and then I'm going to get off this thing, and I'm going to go to bed. It's an hour and a half into a 5-minute video, so yeah. Normally you would want to get the rotation and the location, so, or you could get actor location and rotation, so you know which way the character is looking, and then you're going to, and this is how not to do this, by the way. We're doing the teleport version. We're actually going to change our Z height plus 500. This is absolutely going to break things, just so you know. So if we walk around here, we hit spacebar, we can jump. We hit the F key, we can do our hover thing. Go on this thing, that works. We hit E. Where the hell are we? Oh, we're stuck up in the air, and our character is stuck way up there. That's kind of broken as hell, isn't it? So yeah, we don't want to do that. So what we can do here is plus, we'll say 10 to our Z. All we're wanting to do is bring our character up. But see, we want to do this instead. Let's actually, instead of doing this, setting our world location up, we're not doing a plus to that. We're going to do a plus to our Y of 1000. This is totally going to break shit, so you see what's happened though is it totally screwed the thing up, because we're only using the mesh. We're not actually changing it correctly. We're changing the mesh location. So we do this and actually set our world location, our target. Can't really get a reference to ourselves there. So if we try doing it this way, it'll just break because we don't have a target. And if we did character movement, then you know, a lot of this shit's just not going to work. It's like, give me some time to actually get awake to do all this stuff. Updated primitive. I'm sure this is going to break shit too. So trial and error. So that's a simple teleport. It's not changing the rotation correctly. And we just went to the wall there because we didn't have a check to see, can we do it? We just moved this way. Normally I would say get the rotation and work that way. So if we're doing it, we're just doing that. We just teleported to a different location. So if we're looking right here, bang, we just teleport that way 1000. Break down the question, and I'm closing this right now. Save selected sounds lovely. You know what? Ask the questions, give yourself the answers. It's Unreal Engine 4 is not that complicated. Just ask questions and then answer them. Think of what the questions have to be. I want to go from point A to point B. Well, what's stopping me? Is there anything stopping me from getting there? Is there a wall in the way? If I'm shooting, is my projectile going to hit the target that I'm looking at? Am I standing on this box? Am I in this zone? If you're on a map and you cross over a certain line, you put that same pressure pad without the little box that we stood on. The box collision can be as big as you freaking want it to be. And it's just a zone at that point. Am I in this zone? Has the enemy, we just use the example of cool guy. Is cool guy in this location? But what is the what if the enemy is what do you call the enemy, or what do you do for this, or red guy, blue guy, whatever? You're just setting conditions. You're asking questions. What happens is if Jorge decides he's going to jump in to the zone for the blue team, but he's on the red team, so then we need to create the event, and the event then tells it to play a sound, which could be spooky music, or flash something on the screen saying, "Hey, there's somebody in your base," or whatever. It's just asking questions and then giving it directions. Whenever this happens, do that. It's just that simple. All right, I'm getting the hell out of here. Catch me tomorrow, and after I've had a little bit of rest, and I'll actually open up another example, go through, and we'll just screw around with stuff, ask questions, get answers, that kind of thing. It's the best way to learn is to sit there and just kind of play around with it, experiment with it, and remember the basic fundamentals of it's just questions and answers. If it's not working, you're not asking the question correctly. Go back and try it a different way. There's more than one way to skin a cat on doing things, so just keep asking in different ways, and you're probably going to get it figured out. So, you guys let me know on Discord what's a good time, that kind of stuff, and I'll try to do more regular streams. So that way I'm trying to cater towards a more diverse audience. And gonna throw it back out there. If we're in the middle of the live stream, I'm gonna load the stream up, and it's gonna look awkward as shit, so just bear with me. Just to give an example, because I want to see what it looks like and make sure it works correctly too. Go to YouTube. Hey, that asshole Beefalo Bart is streaming right now. Alright, so I'm going to mute it. Go to YouTube, so we don't actually hear it. Yeah, this looks kind of funny. I'm looking at my own live stream of my live stream, and yeah. So yeah, bear with me. It's going to look a little bit weird. We're going to do
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I wish I could wet my pants.
see if that actually works. So if somebody actually subscribes or makes a donation, you'll see a little thing pop up on the screen like that right there. That's just a sample there of what it would actually look like. I changed it to where you got like sponsor, or the donation one
God,
is
so excited.
Bender.
I wish I could wet my pants.
Sorry, I love Bender. So got different animations. I'll be changing those as we see fit. I don't have super chat and sponsor set up, but subscribers, if someone subscribes, you'll get a little notification saying that so and so is subscribed. Yeah, that's just kind of freaky. I gotta close that, because I know that it works and pops up on the screen there. I'm doing the test. So again, if you subscribe while we're watching the video, you're going to see this pop up. If you make a donation while the stream is live, crap, and I closed it back up again. I wanted to show one thing really quickly. Is come on. When you're following the live stream and you want to donate during the live stream, this link right here, streamlabs.com/beefalobart1, that will take you directly to the page, and you just click on it. It'll take you directly to the page, and you can actually put in your nickname, your donation message. So like Beefalo Bart is a butt monkey, and you put in, do you want to donate $5 U.S. currency or whatever currency you may have. You'll see your name, donated, the amount right there, and then your message directly underneath there. If you're giving me money, you can tell me any damn thing you want. You can say Beefalo Bart eats dog shit. I don't give a damn. If you're giving me money, you can say anything you want. I'll take it. So, but that's it. And that's if you wanted to pop up and show while the stream is actually going on. Otherwise, you can just click on the paypal.me. That's the direct link right there for payment. Discord, this is my Discord channel. Beefalo Bart at itch.io. I have been considering doing some more sample stuff and whatnot. This is just a sample game that I put up there. It's just a quick little shooter. Something to screw around with. It's actually a multiplayer shooter. You can actually download it, play it with your friends, as long as they have a Steam account, they have Steam running in the background, and you're on the same Steam region. I got to revamp my whole multiplayer network architecture, but it works. So, you guys, make sure you subscribe. Again, if you choose to donate during the stream, use the Streamlabs link in the description. If not, then if you want to do it later, or if you just don't want anybody to know that you just donated money, then just hit the regular PayPal button. I don't use any other form of payment because PayPal does everything. Other forms of payment, I got shit on and screwed over. So people make donations, get free shit, and then cancel their donation after they've already made it. So they get the free shit, and then they cancel it, and then they've got the software free, and they've hauled ass. So won't do that again. So it's PayPal or nothing. All right, guys, check in with me on Discord. Let me know what you want to see. And we are out of here, and I will see you later.